What's happening, sports fans? We dive into another top recruit interview. This time we've got Maegan Jensen from Westview. She's committed to go dive at Northern Arizona Swim and dive. We're going to learn more about it because we got another great athlete to talk to. Thank you so much for being on with us. Congratulations on your commitment. Let's start there. Why the Lumberjacks?
So I just, first of all, the team there is one of the most cohesive swim and dive teams that I've ever been around. The swimmers and the divers, they're all connected, they're all friends, they all support each other, and that's super important to me. And the coach has supported me throughout the entire recruitment process, and she just has given me so much support and so much encouragement because I'm basically new to the sport because I've only been doing it for 2 years. So that was really helpful throughout the entire recruitment process. And on top of all, apart from the athletics, the academic side of things, I'm going to be majoring in exercise science, and they have a really good program that I could go into and also get a minor in nutrition. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay, so you have life all figured out.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Okay, most people, myself included, grandiose plans when you're 17 or 18, but it was like, I'm just going to go to college and be successful and have fun and grow up. And you're like, no, it's this degree and it's that. And I'm going to. So you were saying, you were saying though that you had a really fascinating story about how you wound up with dive even in the first place. So gymnastics your entire life and then something changed. Kind of, if you don't mind rehashing a little bit of what you told us, go ahead and tell the whole story to the audience.
So I did gymnastics for since I was 4 years old, so that's almost 11 years. And towards the end of my season, when I was in the higher levels of gymnastics, I kept getting injured. So I partially tore my calf, and then I kept re-tearing it, and I had all sorts of knee problems. I had 2 types of tendonitis for over 3 years, and in both of my knees. And then the last strand was I had to get foot surgery, and I was like, my body cannot. It's just not a good plan. I want to walk when I'm 30, So I decided after I finished my rehab for my foot surgery, that was in freshman year. Luckily, I was able to get in halfway in the season for swim and dive because I just wanted to see what it was like,
So wait, you said you got halfway. Had you done any of it before? Did somebody have to say, hey, here's this new opportunity? Did you just see was there a moment where like the heavens parted and trumpets sang? Like, how did you actually make that? Like, who introduced you to it?
My mom actually was pushing for me to find another sport because she did not enjoy that I was getting injured so much. And I knew the diving coach. So I decided to just, check it out and see what it was like. And
yeah, because I was going to ask, your mom probably thought you were playing offensive line for Westview. I don't even think Robbie Greer got this injured over his 4 years of high school there playing football for you guys. And you're here just like, tore this, broke that, smashed this, these surgeries, grizzled veteran of the OR. So what is the start of dive? Because I'm assuming they don't just put you on a 30-foot platform and say, hey, good luck.
And I didn't even get on a platform until sometime last year, and I've only jumped off a 10-meter 3 times.
Okay, so what does that start look like? What are the training wheels, little baby steps that one takes into the world of dive?
So since I have a background in gymnastics, I'm sure it was much easier for me to get used to things and get into it than maybe other people who didn't have that background. But I started out just high school, and then from there I started club dive in only 1 meter because there's 1 meter springboard and 3 meter springboard, and then you have platform which goes 5, 7, and 10 meters. But I only did only 1 meter for the first year of my career.
So that's about 3 feet for those of us that are metrically challenged, and springboard is the one that's flexible, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, keep going.
That's the bouncy one. So not really. So you start out on 1 meter, and it depends on where you go for club because there's really not too many pools that have 3 meters. So typically you start out on 1 meter, and you start with the basics. You start with, front dives, back dives, reverse dives, inward dives, back layouts, back tuck, front tuck, just all the basics. So you can start building up as further along as you go.
So you said you've done the 10-meter only a handful of times in your life. Is it terrifying or is it fun?
I mean, the first time I Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I cried the first time when I jumped off because I thought my coach was gonna make me do like actual dives, but he just made me jump off. So I was like, all built up with the anxiety.
Don't worry, I would have too.
But it's fun. I have to admit, after the first couple of times, it is really fun. But I've only competed on platform, I think maybe around 4 or 5 times, and I've only done dives off of 5 meter, and then I have a couple dives that I do on 7 meter, which is almost 21 feet tall.
So, a basketball player, it'll be like, a swish from three or a dunk, a baseball player hitting a home run. What's the sweet spot? What's the good feeling in diving? Is it something in the air? Is it when you hit the water? What for you is that moment where you're like, that's why I do this?
So in dive, there's a term called rip. So that's kind of like your dunk and your swoosh.
Okay.
It's basically where you hit the water and you go straight in. There is some bubbles, but there's this sound that it makes where it's like that, and that sweet sound is what all divers are looking for.
So wait, do you hear the sound though? Because you're going through the water at just at a billion miles an hour. Like,
yeah. So you can feel it when you hit the water correctly, and you can feel if your body like didn't go in correctly, if you went over, if you went
really
short. Yeah.
So in the water as you're fully submerged, you can be like 7 out of 10. That was good. 10 out of 10. That you can get
sometimes
a really
after some really nice dives, I'll be under the water and be like, that was a good one. Like I hit it right.
Dang. Okay, because my guess would have been it just hurts. It just
well,
you just feel it.
Sometimes yes. Yes, that's called a smack.
Okay, so it's a rip or a smack.
Yeah.
And I would
That's
love.
what you want.
Yeah, and I would love to know the smack makes this noise. I would love to know your impression of what a full blown. If a rip makes this noise, what does a full blown smack make?
It's
find
like
a
your
wall
whole
and
body hitting concrete. Yeah. Sometimes it sounds pretty bad though. I've had a couple pretty good ones.
Oof. I'm sure that everybody has those training wheel moments in sports. Just for some sports, it's I struck out a couple times. In your sport, it's like, yeah, I went home looking like a rare piece of steak because I slapped the water real hard.
Yeah, I actually have a scar on my lower back from a smack that I did off of 5 meter last season.
Wait, a scar from what? The water?
From hitting the water. Sometimes if you hit the water hard
girl,
enough,
you got to get out of this sport.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, wait. So you transferred from a ruptured calf and broken bones to literally just like, I've got a scar from hitting the water too hard.
Yeah.
Solid. Moved up the world there.
Yeah, I've gotten 1 concussion from diving, and I'll tell people like, I got a concussion sophomore year diving, and they'll be like, did you hit the board? And I'm like, no, I hit the water. Like sometimes you hit it that hard.
That is terrifying. I mean, mad respect. There are a lot of athletes in San Diego where once you actually, field hockey doesn't look like a crazy contact sport. Then you meet people and you're like, wow, you've been hit how many times by the stick and the ball? Diving now, huge check in that category. I've never met somebody that has been doing the swimming sports and been like, oh yeah, I have a giant scar, but been smiling at the same time like you are right now.
It's because it's the sport that I love. Like, I'm gonna spend the next 4 years of my life doing it, and you're going to smack. Like, that's a part of the sport. So you just have to accept the fact. I mean, it took me a little bit to, not like get upset after I smacked, and to just, what you have to do is you have to just take a deep breath and be like, okay, that was not so good. That didn't feel so good, but it's gonna go away in a couple of seconds, and then we're gonna get back up and do it again.
Well, so talk to me a little bit about the mental aspect then, because I think that, for most of my personal exposure to sports, it's pump up, hype, get ready.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the field. Are you a really zen person on that platform? Like, what is the 2 hours, the 2 minutes, the 2 seconds? What is the lead up to a really successful dive for you?
So when I first started diving, I completely had to change, how I approach things mentally, because it's scary sometimes. But you can't let that get in the way.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. As someone who's never going to jump off a 10 meter, I'll take your word for it.
There's definitely been a few moments where I've been standing on the board getting ready to do, a back 2.5 for the first time. And I've been like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. But, you just have to take it one step at a time. And really all I focus on before I'm like getting ready, because you do these things called build-ups for the bigger dives on like 3-meter or on 5-meter and 7-meter. And basically you do, and so let's say I'm doing a back 2.5, I would do a back double flip on 1-meter to prepare for the back 2.5 on 3-meter.
And that's on the same day as that
Yes,
meet. So you're these are your warm-ups.
time, right before I'm going up to do it. And so you get off and you do the back double and you're like, okay, I can do this. If I can do a back double on 1-meter, I can do 2.5 with 6 more feet, in the air. So you really have to approach it with confidence. If you're not confident, then it's, things can happen. You can smack. I mean, yeah, but so I do a lot of mental visualization a lot. So I sit there before the dive and I go over the corrections that I need to complete, like kick out tighter this time. We're going to kick out tighter. We're going to point our legs towards the diving board instead of, leaving them down, which made me smack a few times. So I really just go over the steps that I need to do, swing your arms up instead of back, chest up instead of, leaning back because that's not good. And basically I just go over everything. And then when I get up to the diving board, I take a few deep breaths and I go, okay, we're going to go on 3. Because if you stand there for a long time, then you start thinking about it. And then you're like, I don't know anymore. So basically I just stand there and I go, okay, we're going to go on 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I go and we do the dive. And if I smack, I smack. But we're going to get up and do it again because that's the only way you're going to get better at it.
That is the most amazing walkthrough. Like, you are one of the athletes that one of the small percentage of athletes that I've ever met that actually can narrate and walk through the process. We get a lot of people that their answer to that question would be like, I don't know, man, I just go out there and play. So I really appreciate you giving us that sort of walk through it. What does the college scene look like for those that aren't, super educated? Is this, I mean, everybody knows the Olympic version of diving. You get out there and it's look at the pretty divers, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Does this work the same way as like a track meet does? Are you part of a team scoring points? Are you going more for an individual thing in college? How does that work out?
So, for each individual race, there's like individual awards, and then there's also the overall team score. That's exactly how it works for swim and dive. So basically the divers will compete and the swimmers will be also competing, and the divers will place, on 1-meter, 3-meter and platform, but their points for each event counts as basically as much as a whole or more event, a whole swim event would. So like,
you're your own relay team. You count just as much as the 4x100 meter relay team. That's so badass. That's killer.
Yeah, and we really contribute to the swim team. So like for high school last year, the main reason why our whole entire team did so well is because the divers got over half of the points, because every single one of us placed in the 1 through 10 at the CIF meet, which was awesome. That was so.
Well, okay, so I want to ask you about that experience, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but just, everybody has this platform now, and there is nobody here to talk back or deny anything. You are the first swim and or dive person we have had on yet in these interviews.
Oh, really?
Would you like to go ahead and declare Westview CIF champions this year? Because we don't have the ability to necessarily give you guys the championship, but we don't have anybody else from the swim and dive community on here to deny it. So would you guys have been good enough to win a CIF championship?
I mean, I think we would have had a good chance.
Yes, they're CIF champs. There you go, folks. Put it down in the record books. The 2020 Division 1?
Yeah.
The 2020 Division 1 swim and dive champions are Westview High School. Congratulations. We will try and pressure CIF on Twitter and Instagram to ship you guys out your patches as soon as possible. I asked that, though, because I do want, I hate to have to ask like these serious kind of questions, but you are the only senior class in the history of the United States of America to have a pandemic end your senior year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nobody else knows what that's like. Nobody else has ever been through this. Nothing. Like there are no comps mentally, emotionally for this. So what has this been like? Any answer?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It's been pretty hard because I was really looking forward to this season. I don't. So I got both of the records at my school for, because in high school there's a 6 dive meet and an 11 dive meet. And I've had the record since freshman year, and I've been hoping to, make it high enough to where maybe no one can beat it, so I can have it stay on the board for a long time. So that was something that I'm really missing out on. But it's something that can't be fixed. So I've just had to go through a process and accept that that's how it's going to be. But and look back on all the great times that I've had. I was really disappointed because I was looking forward to how I would do at leagues this year, at CIFs, and hopefully last year I was the first diver ever to make it to states for Westview. So I was hoping that I could do that again this year, but it's sometimes life is like that, and
No,
hard.
literally not. No, literally never
Yeah.
before. That is not a cliche that you can apply here, because literally before
Yeah.
never life has been like that.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to college and competing in college, so I have that to look forward to for too. So that helps a lot. But it's been rough because I was looking forward to competing with all my friends this year and my teammates who are also my teammates on my club team. And just competing overall I love competing. It's just so much fun.
Well, we really appreciate you saying that, and I know that there is no right answer, there's no wrong answer, there's no unified answer. This experience has hit everybody a little bit differently. But like you mentioned, you will be going on to next year,
Yes.
and we will be, as a city, supporting you and looking forward to only rips.
Yes,
Only rips. We should get shirts made. Only rips. Nobody would get the joke except for the couple of people watching this, but it'd still be funny to us. Sports fans out there, there's so many spring sport athletes. There's just a ton of high school kids that just need your positivity. I know you can't give them a hug right now, but send them a distance hug. Send them some sort of GIF or emoji of well wishes like that, because Maegan here has, some people apparently mispronounce her first name. They had their seasons ended, and they just need your positivity. We really appreciate you taking some time to be on with us. We look forward to send us your first dive next year, because we want to see everybody back in action, and somewhat sarcastically congratulations, but congratulations on being CIF champs. That's huge. We'll go ahead and get that circulating. Sports fans, thank you so much for diving into this interview with us, and we will talk to you guys next time.